All right, everyone. In this video, we're going to be doing the example of how to do the 30-degree cuts for this board here. So it's 30-degree cut, 38 inches long, and then another 30-degree cut, 38 inches long. So two boards that are going to be the legs of our bench. All right. So the first thing we're going to do, as it shows in the, if you want to come around the back side here, as it shows in the video, is in the diagram, is I'm going to do this first 30-degree cut on the edge of the board. My recommendation is don't try to line it up exactly on the end. Come in a little bit. I would say come in about a ½ inch to an inch. All right, because we got plenty of space on this board, so I'm going to come in a ½ inch, put a little tick mark. All right, and then the way we do an angled mark on the board using a large speed square is you use the pivot point at the bottom. All right, so you put the speed square with a flat edge along the bottom up against that mark, and then what you do is, holding it on that pivot point, you rotate it until, and again, it's kind of hard to see on the camera, I'm sure, but here is the 30-degree angle mark. I'm going to put that 30-degree angle mark so it's flush along the edge of the board. Make sure you're not on the board where it's rounded. It has to be on the edge of the board. And then you come back, and this should be a 30-degree angle right here. So you hold it down, you make that nice good pencil mark. That should be a 30-degree angle in there. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this board over to the chop saw, and we're going to cut it. Make sure it's supported on the end over here. And then to get yourself set up, you need to set the saw to 30 degrees. 30 degrees is not one of your standard angles that's kind of preset for you. So you have to rotate it until the red mark is on 30 degrees, and then you lock down the handle. All right. Also, make sure you know what side is the waist side. Again, this little kind of square up here is where the waist side is. So my shadow needs to be on that side of my angled mark. All right, so I put the shadow on the waist side, then I slide the board until the shadow just touches that line. You see it's on the waist side, not on top of the mark, and the shadow does line up with my pencil mark, so I am good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. There's our first 30-degree cut. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to leave this here because I'm going to come back and do another couple 30-degree cuts. So I'm not going to reset the saw right now, but if you're the last one for the day or anything else, it's always good practice to put it back at a 0-degree angle. All right, so I'm going to come back. And then the next thing is, it says it is 38 inches along the bottom, and it's two of these pieces. I always recommend do one piece at a time. Do not try to make two marks at a time, because remember that the blade does remove material. So you see how I'm hooking the tape onto the end. Have a partner help you if you need to. And I'm gonna mark it, a little mark right at 38 inches, right there on that edge of the board, the bottom edge. That's my next pivot point. I'm going to repeat the process I did before. Put the speed square on that mark. Rotate until I see 30 degrees. Again, there I see 30 degrees right on the edge of that board. I'm still on that pivot point, which is good. Hold the speed square down. Put a nice good mark across that board. All right, here again, remember what's my waist side. Now I'm going to remember to mark it this time. This is the side of the board I'm keeping. This is my waist side. So I'm going to put a little X on the waist side to remind myself. The blade this time goes on this side of the board. Go back and cut. Remember to support it either with a block or with a partner. Make sure it's up against the fence. I'm going to pull the saw down. Again, now the blade is on the opposite side because my waist side is on the right instead of the left. So I'm going to pull the board until the blade touches the line, but it's on the waist side. All right, there we go. Everything's set up, gonna cut. One thing to be aware of is when you're doing an angled cut, notice how your hand position might need to be a little further out on the board because it needs to stay out of the yellow. All right, so you can't have your hand in close with an angled cut. You need to be a little bit more careful about having our hand position. All right, but there is my first one. I'll put this off to the side. And then we have another one. This is gonna be the same process. All you're gonna do now is, again, a new mark for the distance, which I believe was 38 inches, another 30-degree cut. All right, I don't need to go ahead and do that on camera, but the biggest point is I did not make two marks and then cut. I am marking, cutting, marking, cutting. Let your teacher know if you got any questions. Thank you very much.